what's up? I just got back from my amazing road trip with my mom. It's a trip that we take every single year, though the destination always changes. We've been doing this since I was little. Usually it was just to go visit my grandparents, but now since I'm older and I'm off of school more, we get to take even longer ones. This one we started on Mother's Day last Sunday, and we drove up into Cooley Dam, which is where my grandmother is from and her mom lived, and so we got to drive through, see their old house, and we got to go see the dam too. I have seen a dam before, but this one was really great because it's where my family was from, and my great-grandfather worked on it, and he even worked security in the dam for a really long time. We were going to take the dam tour, but we were running out of time, and we wanted to get into Canada that day without it being super dark because we didn't really know where we were going. And our phones would stop working once we hit Canada. So we go up to Border Patrol and it's pretty quiet. I think we had to wait 4 cars or something. And we drive up and we get stopped because we have Arizona plates and we're coming in through Washington. So they're like, Arizona? The guy was really cool, and my first experience coming into Canada was amazing. We drove through this countryside with a bunch of wineries. The only thing was there was a lot of flooding. And I mean, houses, steps flooded underwater, entire trees just, oh my God, I can't even describe it. There's so much water everywhere. We get into Princeton, it's a really small town. We just kind of choose the first inn that we see. It was called the Ponderosa Motel. It was Mother's Day, and we managed to get in at like the only restaurant in town that was open. Driving to Vancouver, we got into the Rockies, and even though I live in Arizona and I've been to Colorado a lot, I have seen the Rockies, but not like this. The mountains were massive, there was still snow on them, and it was about a 3-hour drive into Vancouver. We stayed in this small house that was an Airbnb. It was a loft, and while it would be really cool to climb up that ladder and sleep in the tiny bed upstairs, it was kind of warm for it. But without proper air conditioning, because you're in Vancouver, you don't really need it that often in the summer, we shared the couch downstairs and just put blankets on it. Actually, it was really comfortable, so we were fine. We got in about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so we decided to take a cab into Vancouver proper, and we did a hop-on, hop-off bus tour because we just wanted to see the city since my mom hadn't been there in about 20 years, and of course, I've never seen it, so we didn't really know where we wanted to go. Eventually, we ended up spending most of our time in Gastown shopping around and snacking at different places. Now, in Canada, the drinking age is 19, and I'll be 20 in July. So I was able to have my first legal drink with my mom. We had a nice rosé and some pickled vegetables, sitting out, looking across through the city. We took cool photos around the city, and we got some of our own souvenirs. My mom and I picked up a Christmas ornament that's a maple leaf that says Vancouver on it to remember our trip and flood our already crowded Christmas tree in 6 months. My favorite thing about some of these shops were just the supply of maple products that they have. I swear they lined this entire wall and half of the building with just maple candy, maple syrup, maple-themed clothes, and other maple souvenirs, which I didn't buy any of it aside from our Christmas ornament. The last stop in Gastown was to go to this little pub, sit up high, and get a couple more snacks. They were all deep fried, so I didn't really eat a lot of them, but they had a wall lined with board games, and my mom said, hey, go pick something out. So I got a deck of cards, and we love to play cards, so we got to play our favorite game, looking out at the city and watching the sunset. It was really nice. We were gonna go to Stanley Park that day because my mom wanted to see the zoo, even though it closed in 1996. So instead, we went up Grouse Mountain and we took the gondola ride. It took about 7 minutes, and it was really cool and really high up. There was still snow on the mountain, which really surprised me, and I was in t-shirts and shorts, so it was a little bit cold, but the bears that they have up there had come out of hibernation. Yeah, bears. If you don't know, Grouse Mountain found 2 cubs that were brothers from a different mother, and they built a habitat around them, and they've been keeping them there for 17 years or so. One of them is an inland bear, one of them is a coastal bear, so one's a little bit bigger than the other one, and while we were sitting up there watching, they decided to start wrestling. I don't think I ever realized how big bears really are, but I would never want to be that close to one without that electric fence in front of me. No, we were 10 feet away. It was a little scary. After Grouse Mountain, we decided to drive to Horseshoe Bay, which my mom remembered as being this small little port town with only a couple of restaurants, and it's still exactly the same as it was 20 years ago, according to her. But it was really cute, and we were just looking for some oysters. We managed to get them on the half shell, and I had another glass of wine with my mom while looking out at the harbor. We ended up asking a couple of people where to go for dinner if we wanted some more oysters and maybe a crab. They told us you have to go to Rodney's. Like, okay, where is it? It's in Yaletown on Hamilton Street. It's really cute and you can't miss it. We get to Yaletown and Hamilton Street is just lined with these old buildings and really cool restaurants, and it seems to be really popular. So we stop in at Rodney's. It's about a 20-minute wait, but it's definitely worth it. We sit up at the bar where they're making clams and mussels in these little steamers that they can just dump out, and they lost one and my mom ate it. Yeah, the guy said, hey, it fell out. It's yours now. We had this beautiful crab and some more oysters on the half shell before going home and going to bed early because the next morning we had to get up and catch a ferry. Well, here's the thing about the ferry. My mom got one to Anacortes from Sydney. Well, that's great, except you have to ferry to Sydney. We didn't have a ferry to Sydney. So we got one from Vancouver to Sydney and then realized that we wanted to go to Port Angeles, not Anacortes, so we had to change our ferry to Port Angeles. Well, my mom figured, okay, so we just get off at the Sydney ferry and it's at 4 p.m. Only one available. We get in about noon. We pull up to the ferry and they say, we don't have a 4 p.m. Where are you going? So we're going to Port Angeles. They're like, no, you have to drive to Victoria proper, which is about, 20, 30 minutes, depending if you catch it when a ferry unloads. It actually doesn't take us very long to get there because there wasn't a ferry at the time. We get down to Victoria proper and there's a lot of construction, but we managed to get onto the ferry dock. And the guy says, yeah, go ahead and park in lane 7, get out of your car, walk around, just be back for customs at 2:30 because we're going to the States from this ferry. We get out and walk along this path that's apparently taking us to a fisherman's wharf. It's right along the water. Sometimes it's a boardwalk, sometimes it's just concrete, but it's really nice and it's really cool outside, so we get a lot of nice pictures and we eventually find this cute little fisherman's wharf. We eventually just go into the gift shop because we don't really want to eat the fried foods or the sandwiches that they have to offer there. We end up making our way back along the path and stop at this place called the Blue Crab. We get some hummus and vegetables, and my mom gets a plate of mussels while we just sit and enjoy the view before going back to get on our ferry. Finally, we get into Port Angeles. It's probably about 6:30 p.m., so we just make dinner in the room, which is a salad, watch some cooking TV, and go to bed. Because the next morning, we're up at 5 a.m. I get up at 10, usually. So 5 a.m. is a little bit early for me, even on a road trip. The reason we're up at 5 a.m. is because we want to catch a 9:30 ferry to go to our next location. We're probably the second car in line, and it's a boat ferry that doesn't run during low tides, which is why we wanted to get there early, just in case they canceled a later one. Plus, they can only fit a maximum of like 11 cars on this ferry, and if you miss it, you're not getting on that ferry until much later in the afternoon. We're staying on Heron Island. It's a private island, and we're staying at someone's house that Mom found online. It's a really cute house. We live downstairs and the other people live upstairs. It's got a great view of the Puget Sound, and it even has a little lagoon out front. Well, what you can do in the lagoon is you can go out and you can get your own oysters and clams and just cook them up for dinner. And that's what we did on the second night. Otherwise, we just kind of relaxed. We watched all of Lord of the Rings and we hung out. It was a really good way to end the vacation because my mom and I just got to spend some quality time together after running around a big city. It's the only time I'm going to see her until probably October, so we want to make our road trip really special. We were sitting out playing cards and sitting at a table, and my mom looks behind me and her eyes go all big. I pretty much know what to expect, so I slowly turn around and there's a deer there, just kind of looking at us. And my mom goes inside to get some carrots. While we're feeding the deer, her 2 babies come out and join her. As we finish off the carrots, my mom goes and gets apples too. Well, apparently the apples are just these deer's favorites because I swear to God, the deer's eyes got big just like my mom's did. They were eating right out of our hand, and we even got one of the babies to eat out of our hand, which they say never happens. So now we're home for a couple of days, just kind of working and hanging out before I go to Colorado to go see my best friend. After that, I've got a month before I fly to London and start my 6 weeks in Europe. I really can't wait for this trip, and I really want to vlog the whole thing because I think it's just going to be absolutely amazing and it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and hit that subscribe button because I really enjoy sharing this with everybody. It's my favorite thing in the world to travel, and I think there are a lot of great opportunities out there for me to show you what I'm doing. Bye!